Come on.
Put that hammer down. Yeah, no.
Bad call. He loves his hammer.
You want me to put the hammer down?
Damn! Alrighty, guys. We've got another build video for y'all. This is going to be the Mjolnir blunderbuss build. So starting off with the armor, we've got a piece of Frigid Dawn at the helm, and then another piece of Frigid Dawn as the chest piece. And this is going to be 5 pieces shuriken heals. You want the Frigid Dawn for that extra mitigation with the illegal perk combo of Enchanted Ward and Elia version. And then I've got light gloves with Enchanted Ward, shuriken heals, and plague splitting nades. When it comes to the current meta right now, it is very important to have some form of anti-heal. And with this build, we've got a good amount of anti-heal to be able to take down some groups that are running with a healer or 2. And then there are other, healer builds that are very strong. They also do quite a amount of damage. So to be able to hinder their healing output and incoming healing is very important. Now for the armor artifact we are running with this build, the Azoth Conductor's pants. These pants are really nice. I've been having a blast putting this artifact on multiple different builds, revisiting old builds that have a lot of elemental damage just to push it over the edge to deal even more insane damage. So it's got as its intrinsic perk Magician's Boon. In medium equip weight, deal 15% more elemental damage. Then it's got refreshing health, and then I went ahead and put shuriken heals on this piece. And lastly, for the armor, I've got light shoes that have vigor, hasted, as well as shuriken heals. Now you can swap out that vigor for something like Enchanted Ward or maybe refreshing. One piece of vigor is kind of redundant a little bit. Not really. It was just something that I had lying around. I used this piece for one of my other builds that I've been working on. And now the infamous Spark of Mjolnir, guys. This artifact has surprised me a lot. For the longest time, I've slept on Mjolnir. I should have got it sooner. The build potential with this artifact, you can run all kinds of different weapon combinations with it. It is, and the damage output, man. Oh man, yeah, you guys are really gonna like this. So Mjolnir's Blessing as its intrinsic perk, 99% of hammer damage is converted to lightning, and you deal 20% more lightning damage with both weapons. Spark Mighty Gavel causes a lightning strike that inflicts a 30% weaken for 7 seconds. And then it's got refreshing Mighty Gavel. Mighty Gavel hits reduce the ability's cooldown by 20%, max 2 activations per impact. And then refreshing move, light and heavy attacks reduce your active weapon cooldowns by 2.5%. And then I went ahead and put Trenchant Recovery on this weapon. Heal for 25% of the damage dealt by heavy melee attacks. So we're going to be doing a lot of damage on our hammer, especially doing those medium heavies. We'll be getting a lot of health back from doing those attacks. I think this perk is a very good option for running this build. Keep in mind, guys, all of my builds that I make are built around the playstyle of outnumbered PvP, solo PvP. So to be able to have that self-sustain and have as much incoming healing and mitigation as possible to survive and withstand the amount of damage you'll be taking and trying to win those fights that are 1v2, 1v3, maybe even a 1v4, so to have that extra healing that we get from treasure recovery is very crucial. So just keep that in mind. And then for our blunderbuss, we got the commandant's blunderbuss named item. This can be obtained through the outpost rush crates. It's very easy obtainable, and it comes with shirking lightning and plague crits. I went ahead and put that leeching shrapnel blast on this. You heal for 35% of the damage dealt by the Azoth shrapnel blast. Like I said, just having multiple sources of incoming healing as possible is very important. Have that self-sustain, fighting all of these pre-made groups that you'd be seeing in the OPRs, especially of late. And then of course you want to have that lightning split gem in there. You get that extra 20% damage that we get from Mjolnir. For the heart rune, rock and stone form, of course, it is basically my staple that I use on all my builds. It is very great at surviving as well as going on the offensive. Sometimes I will pop that stone form to go on the offensive, so I'm not getting staggered or anything to really get the kill. For the amulet, we got the hoplite amulet. I went with the flame protection this time. I normally go thrust protection. I've actually noticed a bit of a difference when fighting a lot of these fire staffs that is very prevalent right now, and a lot of people are going with a split gem in their thrust damaging weapons. So that thrust damage protection was nice, but I think flame protection is a very good option. You could also go slash protection too. I think those two are probably a little bit better than running the thrust protection. But if you can only use thrust protection, that is totally fine. That is a very good alternative. Just keep in mind that there are a ton of fire staffs and people using slash damage, so you want to be able to stack into those resistances as much as possible. And then with this amulet, it comes with unimpeded. The potency of slows on you are reduced by 30% as long as you have not been exhausted within the last 10 seconds. I've really been liking this perk lately. You could run divine as well to really boost the incoming healing that we are getting from the hammer, and of course with the leeching shrapnel blast. But I like being able to move as freely as possible. I think that is very important when it comes to outnumber PvP. With the ring, we've got leeching lightning damage. Gotta have it to really boost our damage as much as possible. And then hardy to increase our max stamina. Then lastly, the earring, a healthy toast, healing heart, regenerating. Healing heart is a really good perk. I honestly prefer it over refreshing toast. Heal for 10% of your max health. And since the amount of damage we'll be doing, we will be getting our heart rune back pretty quickly. So just having healing heart as another source of healing, and it is a really good burst heal. As far as our resistances go, we've got 14.5% slash damage, 9.5 strike, 9.5 thrust, 14.5 standard damage, that is your bleed resistance, and then 7% across the board for our elemental, and then 22.4% fire damage resistance. I really like that. That is, dude, it's really nice. This resistance spread that we've got going right now, that entails 4 onyxes, 1 moonstone, and 3 opals. Be sure to change this to your liking, because what works for me may not work for you. And also keep in mind, I am running 2 rune glasses on my armor, so these resistances will look a little bit different because of that. I'm not running any lightning damage rune glasses. I don't think you need it. I would honestly stack into as much mitigation as possible because we are already doing a ton of damage. So just having that extra sustain is very important. Those rune glasses that I have on those armor pieces, I use for other elemental builds. So for me to swap those out would be kind of redundant and would be a waste of gold, honestly. So as far as our attributes go, we're rocking 350 strength, 100 intelligence to give us that 10% base damage to light and heavy elemental attacks. So that's going to boost our autos from our blunderbuss as well as our heavy attacks that we are doing with Mjolnir. And then I put the rest into con to really boost our max health, to benefit from our healing heart, our shuriken heals. I think it's a much better option than just going 25 focus. Yeah, you could get that 5% ability cooldown reduction, but I think having that extra amount of health is really nice. Feel free to, try the put 20 points into focus and then the rest into con. Just as long as you have that 150 constitution is a very, happy medium. Being in medium, So, and then for our Warhammer skill tree, feel free to pause the video or take a screenshot. This is what I'm running at the moment. You could also do is drop exhaustive attacks, the facilitated expedition, and the guarded sprint. Because sometimes you be running with the blunderbuss out as well when fighting outnumbered. So to be able to get these 3 passives and get the Justice for All ultimate, this gives the Mighty Gavel grit, and it increases critical hit chance by 20%, and hits will also reduce all other Warhammer cooldowns by 10%. So it is really nice to have this as well. So it would look something along the lines of this. Yeah, feel free to pause the video, take a screenshot. This is the other setup you could go with to really stack into Mighty Gavel. I think this is a very good setup for that, because you're not giving up any of the crucial passives to really tap into getting the Justice for All ultimate for Mighty Gavel. And then lastly, our blunderbuss skill tree. Feel free to pause the video or take a screenshot. This is what I'm running at the moment. I think this is a very good setup for this build as far as our blunderbuss skill tree. Having that last chance whenever you take a hit and your health is below 50%, gain fortified, increasing your armor by 30% for 4 seconds, and has a 30-second cooldown. This is a very, very good passive. And also, I've been sleeping on this artillery passive. I thought this was pretty, just redundant. It was, throwaway. You have to have this passive in order to get last chance. But I've been thinking a lot of times I be hitting people with my net shot from 10 meters or further to really boost that dot damage on those bleeds. Net shot's initial hit is reduced to 30% weapon damage. However, it now deals 35% additional weapon damage as bleeding each second for 3 seconds. So it will really amplify that barbed netting passive while hitting those net shots from 10 meters or further. And then some tips I could give you guys while running this build. I like to start off with a hammer. Sometimes, depending if they are close, if they're far away, obviously start out with the blunderbuss, get some auto attacks in, hit them with that net shot to slow them down, to try to close the gap. Just don't even go for light attacks or heavies, right? You want to initiate the fight, get that armor breaker in immediately, get that 30% rend off the bat. And then they're probably going to roll back, try and catch them with the shockwave, and then into Mighty Gavel. Right there, that combo is so strong. Just trying to set up that Mighty Gavel as much as possible, because the Mighty Gavel is going to be your execute. So when their health is below 50%, you have increased a 20% increase to your base damage with Mighty Gavel. So it will hit like a truck when you have that 30% rend from your armor breaker. And then just keep in mind when using blunderbuss, try not to just spam your abilities. Try to save the splitting nades and shrapnel blast as much as possible to line them up perfectly, because that is very important, especially like if you have people rushing you. I tend to wait for them to get, right up in my face, and I will hit them with the splitting nades into net shot and then shrapnel blast. And, keep in mind to also shoot in between attacks to get that extra amount of damage that you get from one of your passives from blunderbuss that we were running. All in all, guys, this build is very strong and a ton of fun. I will definitely be making more Mjolnir builds in the future. I just think there is a ton of potential and different weapon combinations you can rock when running Mjolnir. I really like the Mighty Gavel ability. It's kind of like you're dunking on somebody, you know. I think it's a ton of fun. Like I said, I've slept on this artifact for a long time, but no longer. I am going to be running this artifact quite a bit. Guys, if you made it this far in the video, thank y'all so much. I really appreciate it. Be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you're new for more builds like this. I've been streaming almost every day over on Twitch, twitch.tv/emandidit. Down low in the description. As always, guys, I'll catch y'all in the next one.